Welcome to the IT Career Energizer podcast. For anyone who wants to build and grow a career in IT, develop and improve your strengths and skills, be inspired and motivated by the successes of others, manage your career progression, and achieve your IT career goals. And now, your host, Phil Burgess.
Welcome to episode 235 of the IT Career Energizer podcast. My guest on today's show has designed, built, deployed, and operated highly available and scalable software systems in high-tech manufacturing, banking, and e-commerce sectors for nearly 20 years. He has a BS in systems engineering, and he loves working through challenging design problems and building solutions that are safe and enjoyable to use. So it's my pleasure to welcome to the podcast Stephen Kuenzli.
Well, thank you, Phil. I'm excited to be here.
So, Stephen, that's obviously very much a brief introduction. So could you perhaps tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you're doing now?
Right. So professionally, I'm helping companies migrate to the AWS cloud. And we do that with a focus on security, which is a top of mind for a lot of people these days, especially if you're thinking about banking and health data and so forth. Security has always been kind of a pet interest of mine, and I'm really developing that now by digging into some cloud security measures and like building a product that helps security professionals understand what's going on.
And do you do that through your company?
Yes. I have a company that we help migrate to the cloud. Its name is Qualamente, which means a mind for quality. And when work is done, I really like to enjoy a few strong habits that I've developed over the years. Like I enjoy running, writing, and reading, and I do that almost every day.
Right. Okay. Yeah, it's a good balance to have, isn't it? A chance to sort of break away from what you do on a day-to-day basis.
Yes.
So, Stephen, can you tell us what, or maybe a career tip that the audience may not be aware of and perhaps should be?
One of the things that has helped me the most in my career is that I've really tried to take a proactive approach to managing my own career and getting help on my own. So what that means for me is that for years I have reserved time, either daily, an hour, or a block of say 4 hours on a Monday or a Friday to learn something new or practice a skill. That's been really important for learning new things and progressing technically in my career. Another thing is I've learned, especially over the past few years, to ask for help and get help from other people, especially from people outside of what are commonly viewed as technical disciplines. So, working with people from marketing or project management or so forth to really get a broader view of like the problems that we're solving for people.
Right. I mean, you say obviously you learned that. Why do you think that wasn't the case to start with? Was there a particular reason?
I think that there's a number of reasons for it potentially, but like one of the big ones is that engineers are often in the critical path of project delivery. And so there's a lot of organizations will shield them from quote non-technical matters, but it's really, at the end of the day, we are trying to build systems that serve people and actually deliver on their goals. And so if you don't have, if you can't communicate with other people or you can't empathize with them to understand their problem, you're probably not going to actually create a very good solution.
That's very true. Do you see that as a sort of a characteristic in other people you work with as well?
I've certainly seen that on occasion or depending on the environment, maybe regularly. But of course, this is not new news. This has been known for a long time that, having cross-functional diverse teams can really help you get to a better or a good solution faster than a situation where we're just like feeding and smashing requirements and pizza down a chute to some engineers.
Yes, very true. Yeah. Okay. Stephen, can you tell us about your worst IT career moment and what you learned from that experience?
when I think about this, there are several moments that come to mind, but the one that is kind of most burnt into my memory is I was a team lead that was responsible for developing a front end product that was part of a new platform for a company. And, it's a tremendously ambitious project. And there were some tight deadlines, and we shipped a very low quality product. And when it launched to customers, it caused a lot of pain for both customers and the business as we then scrambled to fix the problem before the big peak season came along. And it was a thing where we couldn't really roll it back. There are some ways that we could have mitigated risk much better on launch. And like one of the things that we really should have done better was really pay attention to the early signs we had in terms of defect rates.
Yeah.
Because they were there. But there were certain incentives for certain people. And, it went live and it turned into a really big problem really quickly.
And in terms of how you addressed that, what were the steps you took? Obviously, you said you couldn't roll back, so presumably there was a fix forward approach.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, one of the major things that happened that enabled things to get back on track were there were a few organizational leadership changes. And then my team and we got down to the long and hard task of actually finding and fixing a tremendous number of bugs. We ended up deploying new releases of this front end to production 3 to 5 times a week, which was a big deal at this company, certainly in 2010. No one had ever shipped that frequently. And, we kind of did that. I was leading the team that was performing the fixing. And, we basically had a chart that we updated on the whiteboard with markers. And it was all about, there was unit tests were plotted, the number of unit tests, and then the number of critical defects. And as one went up, the other went down. And we just focused on quality and improving that customer experience for about 4 months. And we were able to actually turn it around into a very high quality product that customers loved.
Right. And presumably that experience has changed the way you work on future projects and how you work now.
Yes, of course. So, after that project, I really resolved to never repeat that again. That was certainly the most painful project delivery of my career. I hope it will stay that way. And, some of what was going on was really, there were broken lines of communication and so forth within the organization. And one of the things I resolved to do was be in a position like financially to be able to say like, look, I'm not going to ship that. And there's a lot of ways to look at this now. I think security is really the current frontier with respect to this. Like engineers shouldn't be shipping products if they know are insecure or put data or people at risk or risks that certainly they're not aware of and haven't signed up for in a very clear way. And so, I'm very interested in improving things on that front, but it was very important for me personally to be able to be in a financial position, which I did by building a 3-month kind of cash cushion, to be able to say like, no, we're not going to do that. And like, you can fire me. That's fine. Actually, like, go for it.
Right.
Probably you may need me more than I need you. And that,
Yeah, presumably that hasn't happened.
no, it hasn't. Nope.
Good.
It's also very freeing. And actually, I think you can become much more valuable and give much better advice when you have whatever it is that makes you feel secure, like really taken care of. For me at the time, it was having sufficient cash to be able to say that. And that's not, the most important or amongst the most important factors for everyone, but it might be some sort of emotional or relationship safety is most important. It doesn't matter, but like find what is important to you so that you can do your best work.
Yes, and very true. So, Stephen, can you tell us maybe or take us to your career highlight and tell us a little bit about that?
Well, the next phase of that story really is the fixing side, which I spoke about, and it was really, watching the defects, those critical defects come down, and like the number of this was a consumer facing product, so we were measuring defect rates or like the percentage of broken projects. And when we got it down to, 0.007% of projects had an issue, which was the best the company had by far. That was such a turnaround story. I was very proud of what we did as a team. That I actually love telling that story and like teaching those principles to people.
Yeah, so obviously metrics are a great thing to be able to measure what you're doing and how improvements are making a difference to the end product. So is that something you continue to do?
Yes. So I teach people, I have some workshops on how to build high quality software and also infrastructure. So Java, I work with a partner on front end JavaScript, and then Terraform for infrastructure as code, which is, infrastructure code is an interesting technology and is probably about 10 to 15 years behind what most software engineers are used to working with if you're accustomed to, say, Python or Java. It can be an interesting exercise to try and figure out, like, how are we going to ensure that this module or library does what we say it does and does what we think it does with, tests and other quality practices like code review, or load testing or something of that nature, to verify that, it's gonna the component is gonna behave as expected.
Stephen, can you tell us what excites you about the future of careers in IT?
Sure. Yeah. So I think the thing that is exciting to me, I love learning, and the tech industry is growing and changing rapidly. So like the technologies that I work with, cloud security, infrastructure code, and continuous delivery practices, like the half-life on the state of the art is like 18 months. So that provides a lot of opportunity to change and evolve and do things better and better and better. There's also another interesting thing in that if you find something that you like, you can stick with that technology and like move laterally to another team or another organization and like help them settle and adopt that, new technology for them. And maybe you're serving a different set of customers. The tech industry is very dynamic. And so you can often navigate to where you want to go.
Yeah, that's true. So the diversity for you and the ability to do different things is a real benefit of being in the IT industry.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Are there any particular technologies or directions that we're taking that interest you?
Sure. So I got very interested in containerization with tools like Docker in particular. I saw what they could do. So I come from an application development background, and I've now like traversed the arc, through what we now call DevOps and into cloud architecture. And when I first encountered Docker, I was fascinated with how simple it now was to package up an application and go run it on another machine, and to be very certain about, whether the application had all of its enablers and like how it was going to run on that other machine. So I spent the last 20 months or so like helping write the second edition of Docker in Action. So that's probably the thing that I most have been most deepest involved with recently, but also going like very deep in cloud security and helping like simplify or provide answers to simple questions that have very complex or hard answers right now. So I'm trying to take, some of this like consumer UX development skill and like really like bring it to bear on some of the harder cloud problems.
Yeah. And obviously going just mentioning containerization and Docker. What drew you to that in particular?
Well, just that I didn't have to worry I could worry much less as an application developer about how the application that I built and created was going to be deployed. And one of the business problems that we were really trying to fix was we had a very large monolithic application. And it was a real hindrance to deploy updates. So instead of being able to deploy updates to this set of servers and ecosystem, say once a day or even once a week, we were on a monthly release cycle, and it was really challenging to work within like a 3 million line code base. So we knew that we needed to split functions out, bit like as services, or today we kind of tend to call them microservices or like a service family. And so the problem that was, or one of the problems that was preventing that from happening, was that we literally needed some place to deploy those new services. And getting those stood up took anywhere between 6 and 12 weeks. I mean, 6 weeks is bad enough and 12 weeks is bad enough, but not knowing whether it's going to be 6 or 12 is just incredibly frustrating.
Yes.
And the whole process itself of provisioning new services or servers to host new services was undocumented. So, one of the things that I did was actually go and reverse engineer the process and wrote it down in a scenario diagram or a sequence diagram and showed it to people, and then showed it where it might break down and why it came out to being between 6 and 12 weeks, and why, really helped illustrate why it was so frustrating. And that was a great way to get buy-in to try other approaches, namely containerization, because the infrastructure became very regular and easy to provision. And to a great degree, we didn't need to provision. We no longer needed to couple the deployment of a new service to the new hardware. We could stand up some container clusters and deploy a number of applications to them. And because containers isolate applications, they were fine to run alongside each other.
Okay, Stephen, we're going to go into the reveal round now. We're going to find out a little bit more about you and the way you think. You ready for this?
Sure.
So what first attracted you to a career in IT?
So I've always enjoyed getting computers to do hard work reliably. So certain calculations that were beyond my mental ability when I was a kid, oh yeah, I want to make the computer do it. And this has evolved over the years to let's make the computers do hard things. And I still enjoy making computers do some new and very hard thing.
What is the best career advice you've ever received?
When I was young, my dad told me to do what you love and love what you do. And so I always think about this whenever I feel like I'm getting frustrated and stagnant in a position. I think about how to change that in its current state, or if I should move along.
And what is the worst career advice you've ever received?
I'm not sure I even remember, which I'm not sure what that tells you.
Well, maybe you're just a good judge of advice. Maybe that's it.
I don't know. I think it's more of just I didn't remember the bad stuff.
If you were to begin your career again in today's world, what would you do?
So I think I would probably do something at the interface or border of biology and technology or computing. And one side of that is I'm fascinated by personalized modeling of replacement body parts or tissues. This is an amazing thing. And the last time I looked, which was 2 years ago, there's no official degree program or something. People are converging into that, and they're pioneering that technology right now. And then another thing is just assistive devices that help people at a very personal level, whether it's for medical monitoring or some kind of like feedback that's local to you to like really help you live a better life.
Yeah. So it sounds like very much you'd like, if you were to do it again, you very much look for something that had a definite benefit to society.
Yes. And the compute power that we have available, walking around like on your phone is immense now. And, it has the opportunity to really help people.
And what career objectives are you currently focusing on?
So I'm building a cloud security product, as I mentioned, that tries to provide simple, understandable answers to really hard questions like who has access to what? Or more concretely, who can delete my production database? Or who has access to the customer health data? Like what applications? Like what are the complete set? Because a lot of people are actually struggling to answer those basic questions right now, and we need to be able to answer those before we go on to more sophisticated ones around risk and some of the more ethical things of like, should you have the ability to encrypt your health data with your own encryption key that's stored by your insurance company or doctor?
Yeah, it's interesting to hear that. Yeah. And what's the number one non-technical skill that has helped you in your career so far?
I'd have to say learning to communicate and empathize with people. And I'm not sure I agree with it being considered a non-technical skill, because if you're building the wrong thing, then technically you're wrong.
Yes. Yes. I mean, all skills are integrated, aren't they?
Yes.
So they all support each other. But yeah, I see what you mean. Definitely. And what do you do to keep your own career energized?
So one of the most important things for me is to actually relax and disconnect. Because I'm so interested in doing this stuff, I have a tendency to overdo it. I step away from the computer at 5 p.m. each day, and I have a little mantra that I say, which is, that's good for today.
And we touched on this one earlier, but what do you do in your spare time away from technology?
I like to run, spend time with family, and really just try to take care of myself, because that's been, I'm a perfectionist, like on the inside. And that's one of the things that has caused the most trouble when it gets out of control. So at this point in my career, I'm doing things to specifically relax and disconnect. And, one of the interesting things is that once you do that, you often come back with much better solutions on much clearer thinking about problems.
Stephen, can you share a parting piece of career advice with the IT Career Energizer audience?
Yeah, I'd like to suggest that you learn continuously and respect your personal and family limits when it comes to your professional life. You'll be fine.
And finally, what's the best way we can find out more about you and connect with you?
Sure, you can find me on LinkedIn. I have a pretty unique name, especially in the technology field. And you can also join my No Drama DevOps mailing list if you're interested in DevOps and cloud and security.
Stephen, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. It's been great chatting with you.
Thank you, Phil. I really appreciate being here and having the opportunity to share what's going on with me and with your listeners.
Hi, Phil here again. Just a final few words from me. Firstly, I'd like to thank my guests for sharing their career tips, experiences, and insights with us on the show today. As you probably know, there have been more than 200 guests on the show so far, and I'm continuing to try to attract new guests that can provide great insights to all of us. However, to enable me to do this, I need to ensure that the podcast continues to grow and reach an extended audience. And you can help me in doing this by subscribing to the show and providing a rating and review in whichever platform you listen to. Thanks again for your support, and until next time, have a great week.
Thanks for listening to the IT Career Energizer podcast. To find out more about building a successful career in IT, visit itcareerenergizer.com.